So here is my largest scar. As you can see, it's actually even indented a bit still. I'm gonna recreate this for you.
We forever are. We are magic, magic, magic.
So let's pretend that this love seat is a hillside. We'll pretend that this Swiffer duster main part without the duster part is a tree. This cat toy will be a branch on the tree. The feathery part will represent a rope tied to the branch of a tree. And the remote that gets me in and out of our parking lot, that's me. Okay, so we used to hang from this rope. There was like a big loop that you could sit in. And so what we would do is jump from one side of the tree, woo, to the other. Fun, right? It was very fun. But one day, I wanted to do that, and it was kind of windy. And my friend Erin said, "Don't you think it's too windy?" And I said, "No!" And I did this. Buh. And then I hobbled up the hillside and realized that my leg was split completely open from, I don't know, let's see where the scar is, about there to there. By the way, during the injury, the tree did not fall down. After I hobbled up the hill, Erin lived in this really sort of secluded part of the Black Hills of South Dakota. And for the Black Hills, that's saying a lot because we lived about 20 minutes away from the bustling metropolis that is Rapid City, South Dakota at the time. My parents were at home. They were having the first open house. They were trying to sell our house so that we could move here to Pittsburgh. And so they had sent me to Erin's for the day. And so after I hobbled up the hill, Erin kind of freaked out. She said, "Don't look down, don't look down." And of course I looked down. And my leg really was split. I mean, wide open. I've never seen the inside of like layers of fat and muscle and skin and stuff before that, so that was kind of freaky. And so somehow a car happened to be driving by. I'm not sure how. There was zero traffic in that area ever, and Erin just jumps in the middle of the road, waves them down, and they take one look at me, and of course they realize they have to give me a ride home. But they're driving this really nice black Mercedes, and I can tell that they really don't want my blood and leg guts all over their car, so they make me like kind of wrap my leg in a blanket, like so that it's all wrapped up so that, you know, I don't have to deal with that. Erin's mom, so she called my mother, freaking out, of course, and my mom's a nurse. So my mom said, you know, "Daria, I'm sure it's fine. Just put a Band-Aid on it. I'll take a look at it when Freya comes home. I'm sure she'll be okay." And at that point, Erin's dad got on the phone and said, "No, I think this is kind of serious. You might want to come here." My mom got there. She took the towel off of my leg. She took one look at my leg. She looked at me and she said, "Okay, we're going to the emergency room." And I remember laying in the back seat of her car, just crying and crying and crying, until at one point my mother looked at me and said, "You know you're not going to die, right?" But I was 10 and I thought I was. It was pretty scary. And so we actually, since we were in the military, we had to go to the hospital on base, which was about an hour away. So after we drove an hour, you know, I'm at this hospital on base, and these people are not used to really cool emergencies at all. They get things like kids with earaches and, you know, maybe a broken ankle every once in a while. So they had like every intern Air Force doctor come in and look at my leg, and everybody thought it was awesome and it was so cool, and you know, I was kind of freaked out by it. But I ended up getting 11 stitches. Then I'm on crutches for a while. However long passes, it's all scabbed over. I have to get my stitches out. So I get my stitches out, and later that day I'm going along with my normal everyday 10-year-old life, which is jump roping, naturally, and I split it way back open. And you can't actually re-stitch something that has been stitched before, so they gave me steri strips, which are just sort of like small pieces of tape that'll like hold your skin together until it can knit back together. And everybody yelled at me for jumping rope, that like I should have known better, but I was 10 years old. They took out my stitches. I assumed I was fine. So thanks, medical knowledge people and my parents, because now I have a bigger scar because of it. Years later, my father confessed to me that he was very upset because he thought up until that point, I could do whatever I wanted with my life. And then he thought that I couldn't be a model anymore because of the scar on my leg. Obviously, Padma Lakshmi hadn't, risen to her great acclaim at that point. I think that scar is just sort of part of what makes my chickeny, pasty legs awesome. Woo! Well, that story took a lot longer than I thought it would, so I can't show you the other minor scars that I have, but I will show you the one that I hate most of all. Last year I went to the dermatologist and had them remove a mole because it had sort of changed color, and Cosmo tells you that if your mole changes color, go see a dermatologist. PSA, people. Anyway, and so she removed the mole so that she could test it, and of course it was negative, it was fine. However, I now have this. It's just a dent in my chest. I'm annoyed.